Marian LaSalle here with Flexible Lifestyle Community. I am so glad that you're here. Today we have a wonderful interview lined up for you with my friend Christy Haussler from Team Podcast. Christy lives in Key West, Florida, and talk about a flexible lifestyle. This woman has really done it. So I can't wait for you to meet her, and I will make sure that you have all of her information in the description below. So be sure and click that Show More button. A lot of people don't even realize it's there. It's there. Just click Show More. All right, let's get started. Here we go. Welcome, Christy Haussler.
Hello. Hello, Christy.
Hi.
This is so interesting. The second I turn the button on, my dog starts barking always.
That's hilarious. They know. They have a sixth sense.
Yes. Once in a while, I'll bring her on the show. Okay, so we're going to start again. Sorry.
No problem.
You just stay quiet.
Hopefully my dogs won't go crazy.
Oh, I don't really care if your dogs do. It annoys people, but I think it's fun because,
Well, it just shows you're real people,
There you go.
You're like, all of a sudden you realize, Christy's a dog person. God, how many dogs does Christy have? So
Exactly.
if it gets too bad, we'll be like, we're recording from the Humane Society today. Volunteering. Just stepped in their office to do this interview.
That's wonderful. Well, welcome to the Flexible Lifestyle Community. I am so happy that not only are you here watching us and joining in the fun, but that you get to meet my friend Christy. So Christy, I can't wait to share you with people because I find you fascinating. I find you interesting, and you always have really great things to share. So without further ado, let's tell people who you are and how they can get a hold of you, and then we'll start in.
Sure. My name is Christy Haussler, and that's who I am. What I do is I have a company called Team Podcast, and it's a full-service podcast production company. And we do podcast production for basically anyone all over the world that does podcasts that might want to create content, but then not really want to do all the tactical or strategic things behind that. So we do all the work for them and really help them accomplish their goals with their podcast. And so people can find me. They can find me at teampodcast.com is the URL for my main company. But you can also find me on Facebook. I do a lot of Facebook Lives and YouTube and that kind of thing. So I try to be, I don't want to say everywhere, but I try to be visible in a lot of different channels. So if you can spell my name and search for me, you can probably find me.
Well, that's how I first found you was, I'm not really sure exactly how it all started, but I do tune into your Facebook Lives.
Yeah.
I have it on notifications so that when you go live, I get a notification and I say, if I'm available, good, I get to watch Christy. And,
what's she doing today?
What's she doing? And you live in Florida. It's been really cold and rainy here in Houston, so
yes.
It's been really interesting to watch you, sitting outside and watching the boats go by and everything. Like, darn,
I know.
Wish I was there.
Yeah. That's why we do what we do, isn't it?
Yes. So I would like to know a little bit about how your flexible lifestyle started. Did you set it up ahead of time? It just started happening out of the blue, or something else?
Well, I'm probably the most unlikely person to plan a flexible lifestyle ever. And so it didn't really happen because I'm the master planner or I'm great at just organizing and orchestrating my life this way. Back in 2013, we came down to Key West for vacation. We were planning a big trip to Costa Rica. We couldn't pull it together. And at the last minute, we just said, you know what, let's just go to Key West. It's still warm. It's still the Caribbean almost-ish. And so we hadn't been there before. And so we went down on vacation and we loved it. We couldn't believe that there was sort of this subtropical place in the United States that still was in our country, still spoke English, but it's never gotten, to 32 degrees here. It's never hit 100 degrees here. So it's the weather that we love with a little bit more humidity than, most people can stand. And so we thought, could we live down here? And so at that time I was working, I managed call centers for a business in South Carolina where we lived. And we just decided we would just keep walking through the next open door. And so we started looking at a few things, and you know how you kind of put your feelers out, and before you know it, this fell into place. And we thought, well, that's the first hurdle. Okay, that's an open door. We'll walk through until we get them all slammed in our face, And then the next thing happened, and honestly, 9 months later, we had moved down here and bought a house, and then it was a matter of, oh, darn, what am I going to do for work? You move down here. There's not a lot of good paying jobs. And I was leaving my, my corporate handcuff type job, the 6-figure job with the paid for medical benefits and the matching 401k. And you think, what am I going to do? And I was already podcasting at the time. And so I just kind of turned that into my full-time thing. And, now here we are with this sort of location independent lifestyle, but we're where we want to be. Like, we moved to where we wanted to be in order to make the flexible lifestyle happen. And so now we're just trying to optimize it, so we can,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's like you
Yes.
get there and then you're like, okay, I this is great. I've made a lot of strides, but now I need more time freedom, or I need to be better at streamlining my processes so I'm not quite so involved in, certain aspects of my business, or I just need to get the hell out of my own way. And so I can, try to let other things happen so that I can be more free to step away from the business and have truly time freedom as well as location freedom.
Well, I talked to a lot of people who, started out kind of like you did, where, it just kind of happened over a period of time. So it wasn't really something that they focused on, and they had plans, and, it went through logical steps. So what I would really like to do with this community is to get people there faster,
Mm-hmm.
with more support,
Mm-hmm.
and opportunities to work wherever they are. So I think that as
Right.
long as you have strong internet, you're good to go with most things now.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest thing is that, once you can put all of your income and everything on the internet and make it your primary gig, then all you need is an internet connection, and you can basically work from anywhere. And it kind of makes it's very freeing. And in the same way, you're like, oh my God, the world is our oyster now. We can do whatever, so it's cool.
It really is cool. So now that we have learned about how you got to where you are now, and you're sustaining right now, I can
Mm-hmm.
see that your future is very bright. Do you have any specific plans on what you want to do? Do you? I know you have a big community. Are you?
Yep.
Are you talking about getting the community together? You doing events?
Yeah, we're doing a couple of different things, and this is the first year that whenever we moved down here, my wife is a teacher and she taught in the public schools down here, and this is the first year she has actually left teaching and joined the business. So we're so it's kind of, now we're more free than ever. We're not just free during summers and Christmas and spring break, so that's kind of a cool thing. So one of the things that we're working on is we're working on more education. We're working on more small group type situations where if people want to learn how to podcast or learn how to use podcasting in their business, that they can actually, we'll be there helping them, and we'll be doing some group coaching and that sort of thing. So live events are something I would love to do. And there's so many places down here that I look and I'm like, oh, that would be the perfect place to hold a live event. I need to learn a little bit more about that. And I have a friend that I'm kind of in a mastermind with him that his specialty is events. And I just know you can lose your shirt on an event if it's not done properly. So I don't want to have a really big learning lesson with a really big loss on the first event. So there will be some eventually, though, even if it's just small weekend retreats for like masterminds and things like that.
That's exactly what you can do. And,
Mhm.
I lost, it's not my shirt, I know,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
lost about $2,000 on my first event. And
yeah.
to me, that was just devastating. I thought I was going
Right.
to make money, and I ended up being surprised by
Yeah.
the hotel industry. Okay. So they
Yes,
didn't
yes.
tell me, or maybe it was in the fine print and I didn't read it, but every person who plugged in, I got charged
Charged.
$100.
Absolutely.
I was like,
And,
what?
you think, how do they charge me $95 for a gallon of coffee?
Yeah.
You're like, a
Yeah.
coffee, that's free at most places. Go enjoy it. But no, 95 or $100 a gallon or something. It is crazy. There's so much that you have to educate yourself on in order to be armed for those negotiations when you sign the contract with a hotel. So,
Yeah. So as long as you know ahead of time what your costs will be and you're
yeah.
not surprised like I was,
Right.
you can get sponsors to cover that. And
Absolutely.
I found out very early on how easy it is to get sponsors. So if you're watching this, and
hmm
you too, Christy, um, don't let that be a fear factor for you. So all they're looking for is eyeballs. So if you have the right people, the right audience that they're looking for, even if it's a small number,
hmm
they're willing to sponsor you because they want your audience for themselves as well. So I found out, I worked for a nonprofit here in the Houston area,
hmm
uh, and I was thrown in it, literally thrown in because they needed somebody, they needed a director, and
hmm
I just happened to be in between. And so it was like, I didn't even know what 5013C meant. I
Oh, wow.
literally
Okay.
was thrown in.
That's amazing.
It was. So I didn't know how hard it was to get sponsors. So I called Southwest Airlines, and I called Frito-Lay, and I called on all, and they said yes and yes and yes. I had no problems at all. They didn't give me any grief. It took a while for Frito-Lay. There's a lot of
Yeah,
layers.
layers. Yeah.
Yeah, people that have to fight for you, basically.
hmm
But I found it was a yes, 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 because we had the right audience for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
That's
that's
amazing. But even for you to only, I hate to say only lose $2,000, because let's face it, $2,000 is $2,000, but that is that is still really good for your first event, because people feel like, I've heard people lose a lot more, and they feel like they're just, it's a mountain they can't climb with a live event, because of their first loss. But with your first loss being really close to a gain, another sponsor or whatever, and you would have been in the black. And so that's amazing.
yes, yes. I was really devastated at the time, but
hmm
I look back on it now and think, oh well, so
The
yeah.
$2,000 lesson, really
So going with a
education.
company that will set up the event for you might be a
hmm
great opportunity the first time, so you can kind of see what they're doing, and they'll
Absolutely.
tell
Yeah.
you how much it's going to cost, and you know everything ahead of time, and
Yeah.
then you can venture out on your own.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Because you feel like there could be some cost savings if you actually know what you're doing, that you could gain by not having to use someone else. So no, I get that there's a lot that I need to learn before I bite off that one. So.
Yeah, well, I just love events. I do a lot here. A lot of my clients hire me to run their events. So most of them are networking events,
Right.
but I'll do just about any kind of event. I love it. I love people.
Yeah.
I love the excitement
That's
and
amazing.
learning. They always have great speakers coming.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
So living the flexible lifestyle for me is easy. Like you said earlier, all I have to have is my computer
hmm
or my phone
Yeah.
or both, and really strong internet. That's what
Yes.
I require, is really strong internet. So
Yes. All internet is not created equal. That's for sure.
no, so boondocking might be a little hard for me,
Yeah.
depending on where it is. But I'm building a resource center that has a lot of different things in it, including how to get strong internet. So
Yeah.
one of them is WeBoost. We talked about that the other day. WeBoost will take your cell signal. So if you have a hotspot, which most of us
hmm
do now,
hmm
it will, like 4 to 8 times higher. It will bring in
Okay.
that signal. So that
Nice.
that
That
might
definitely
help.
helps. Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. And then there's those times that you might have to go into a Starbucks or someplace to do some editing or whatever.
Yes, and I've been in those situations before, and not all Starbucks cut off their Wi-Fi whenever they close. You'll find certain ones, yeah, certain ones, depending on the management, certain ones will leave that connection open. And so I've been at 3 o'clock in the morning in the driveway of a Starbucks trying to upload files, so it happens.
Christy, do you have any advice for someone who is stuck in corporate America, feels stuck, I should say? They, maybe they're not stuck, but maybe they feel stuck, and they want to live a life of more flexibility, travel, doing more of what they're passionate about. Do you have any advice for them? Should they start with podcasting, or should they start with something else?
The I don't necessarily know that the modality they start with is the biggest factor of whether they can actually be successful. But in my mind, starting is the key, and I think, even with me, when I finally opened my mind to the possibility that there might be something else I could do or some way I could get to where I wanted to be. And I never let myself realize that before. And so when I did that, and I just said, it would have been too overwhelming for me to say, okay, in 2 years from now, I'm going to move to Key West. Because I would have thought, there's too much to do, I'm never going to get there. But by saying that I'm going through that next open door, we put out applications for my wife to transfer down here teaching. That was the first open door. There were jobs that was available, and those sorts of things. And so in my mind, if you don't ever get to the point where you start something to build it for the future, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it's a podcast, whether it's just you have some skill, and there are people that are sitting in cubicles today that are great copywriters, that are great social media people, that would be great. They have all these skills. They handle the marketing for the company that they go and sit in the cubicle for every day. And those are skills that could easily be offered to entrepreneurs on a freelance basis, where they could start it as a side hustle. And then eventually, when your side hustle overtakes what you need to make from your job and really starts getting in the way and causing you to make less money, then it's a no-brainer to give up the day job and get out of the cubicle hell. But I think, for me, I see so many of my friends that have even, when we picked up and moved, they said, "Oh, you're so lucky that you get to do that." And I thought, there's no luck at all. It's nothing to do with luck. You could do it too. Yeah, exactly. It is mindset. You could do it too, if you would quit making excuses for yourself. We had the mortgage. We didn't have big savings accounts. Susie Orman would have said, honey, denied, But, and it would have been, any financial planner would have done it. But we said, you know what? We've got these retirement accounts, and then we may never see it. Let's drain them. Let's do what we need to do. We can start all over. And what happens is you get in a little bit different hustle mode whenever your freedom from that cubicle job depends on it. And so you begin to develop parts of yourself that you didn't even know you had. And so, but it is all about mindset starting. So don't be overwhelmed with all the different things. Just look what your first trajectory would be to go, okay, how can I start earning my first dollar on the internet? Could it be offering a service? Could it be selling somebody else's service? Could it be as an affiliate for somebody? And then just dive in deep and see what you can do and set aggressive goals for yourself. You'll surprise yourself.
It's true. And there are so many options now for people who don't have a skill or have never even thought about doing anything online, where they can actually get work where they go, wherever that they decide to go. So, once again,
and when you do well, online, you're going to get referrals from those people. So it's amazing what you can start building if you're committed to doing great work.
I have a success story of a lady who was an organizer. Now, you would think she has to be in a certain spot because she's organizing people's closets and things. But what I taught her to do is to take her cell phone or iPad and get on Zoom and encourage her clients to show her their room that they want to get organized. And she developed a whole program for people that could work with her anywhere they are, anywhere.
Absolutely.
Now,
And
how about
it's, you know,
that?
we're in the day and age where it doesn't matter if you're a personal trainer. I mean, I've had training sessions on Skype before where it's like, all right, move your phone down to the floor. We're getting down on the, you know, floor and we're doing these exercises. And it's not any different being virtual than it is being in person. They just can't put their hands on you and, you know, and touch you. But if you're talking about content, you're talking about concepts or visual things, as long as you can see and point to and say, this is what I'm doing to this, or our world is so small now because of the internet. So it's really amazing what you can do. And it takes thinking out of the box that we've been put in. You know, we've been put in that box of go to college, go get a job, go work for someone for 25 years, then retire, and then spend your retirement doing what you want to do. And, you know, for a lot of us, that's not a reality. Either we've lost our retirements through, you know, companies that have gone under or bad investments, or we've had layoffs and companies aren't hiring for 30 years anymore. They're hiring until you get to the point where you've outgrown their quartile salary scale, and then the new person can come in and they can start back down in the first quartile and work back up for them. So
That's their strategy.
we're not in that situation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They don't want old people that are resistant to change and and when I'm saying old people, I'm talking about people like me who would have been somewhere for 25 or 30 years. I mean, I've had that many years in my working career, and by now I would be set in my ways. I would be resistant to change. I would be more expensive for them because after 30 years experience, you're going to have to pay for that. And someone else coming in that might be more technology savvy than I am, come in and do it for half the price. It's hard for them to say no to.
I agree with you. Yeah, they have a bottom line. They have people looking at them.
Absolutely. And they're squeezing every dime they can out of it, which is part of the other reason that people aren't finding fulfillment in those great jobs. I mean, most every entrepreneur that's kind of left the cubicle world to come out on their own, it's not just about the money. I mean, we had money, we had great benefits, but we felt like our souls were dying. You know, we didn't feel fed. We did not feel fed. We didn't feel like we're making an impact. And not just that, but it's like, who wants to go and be bored out of your mind for 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours a day?
Not me.
You know, not me. No, I want to do things.
Well, Christy, before we hang up today, I would like for you to tell us if somebody wanted to work with you, if somebody wanted to start with podcasting, what would they do? Reach out to you, and what would be the first step that you would have them do?
Yeah, basically, you know, once you kind of begin turning these things over in your mind, most of the time people come with a podcast concept or, you know, what they want to do a show about, maybe even who their target audience is. And so they contact me. Sometimes it's from Facebook. Sometimes they email me. My email is just Christy@teampodcast.com. Sometimes they fill out a contact form on our website, and they would basically say, I'm planning a show. Can we chat? And so I always schedule a consultation call and talk to people. Everyone wants to do a little different thing with their podcast. And some people, you know, based on their time, their technological skills, their amount of money they're putting into it, they want to do different aspects of it themselves, or they might have a teenager that they want to do some part of it to save them some money, but they know they need the expertise here. So we just sort of try to figure out what help they need and what it's going to take to get them launched, and having not just a launched podcast, but having that podcast actually meet their goals, whether an audience, whether they want to maybe build an email list, maybe they even want to monetize that podcast, or maybe they just want to have a cause that they're fighting for and advocating for, you know. Right. So it doesn't matter what it is. It's just come with your ideas and we'll figure out the technical pieces to get you there.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on today, Christy.
Glad to. Yes. It's been a pleasure. And, I encourage anyone who is hoping and praying to take the steps to be a flexible lifestyle in the future, go ahead and move your date up. Start today. Are you doing something today to get you there, even if it's trying to figure out what website you're going to put up or what your service you're going to offer or what skill you're going to put out there in the world? Do something today about it. People are doing crazy things that you would never have imagined you could make a living on 20 years ago, you know,
right.
and the more
and every day gets more and more.
Yeah, and the more niche it is, the better. So if you know how to show people how to set up beehives, because that's been your hobby forever, figure out how you can show more people how to do it and do it online. So there's just a lot to be open your mind to.
I agree. Well, thanks again, Christy. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
joining
much.
us today. We are so thrilled that you're here. We want you to be part of our community. So come on in, check us out. We have a website, we have a Facebook page. We have a lot of different ways for you to contact us so that you can join our community and have more fun and flexibility in your life. We'll see you next time. Bye for now. I miss you already.